Hello everybody, my name is Emily and welcome to my channel, Our Daily Bread, and I hope you enjoy. Hello everybody, so this is going to be my very first video, and today I'm going to be making a cinnamon roll bread loaf type thing, and then after that we're going to get into our Bible study, which I'm really excited for. So I'm gonna go ahead. The oven is already preheated to 350 and I've already washed my hands. And then here we have our pan, and then we sprayed it with some like the flowers non-stick spray, and then put in our parchment paper. Okay, so first I'm gonna add in all the ingredients. So this is our flour. And then our baking soda, our salt, and then all of the sugar. And then we're gonna whisk it all together. The direct measurements will be in the description in case anybody wants to make this themselves. It's pretty easy as far as it goes because it isn't necessarily like your traditional bread where you have to it has to rise. It's more of almost like a cinnamon roll version of like banana bread. So we're just gonna make sure that this is good. All of our powders are good and mixed together. And then using the other end of the whisk, we're gonna make a little well, which is just kind of like a little hole. Okay, so then in our hole, we're gonna add in all of our liquids. So first we have some buttermilk. Should have made the well a little bit bigger, but that's okay. And then we have our egg, our vegetable oil. The recipe specifically calls for canola oil, but I'm just using vegetable oil. And there's the oven. And then our vanilla extract. And then we're gonna use this to just kind of mix everything into each other. And then probably eventually at some point, we'll go back with the whisk just to make sure everything gets mixed in nicely. But this is just to fold everything over. So then I also, while I was baking, I wanted to get into what this channel is going to be about. So basically, once a week, I'm going to find a new recipe. It may not always be bread, it may just be something sweet. Maybe eventually I'll start actually cooking and not just baking. But anyway, so the video is gonna start out like this, where I teach you how to make it. And then we'll get into a small Bible study that'll probably be about a few parts that'll be mixed together through each different episode. And then afterwards will be the really, really fun part where, well, I'll get to taste what I made, and then I'll give it a little rating. So that's gonna be the plan. It may change in the future, but for right now, that's what it is. Okay, so I think everything is good and mixed up. And this is what it looks like. Okay. So we're gonna put this aside. We're gonna grab this little bowl, and then we're just gonna put in some brown sugar, and then we're going to put in some cinnamon. And then this is gonna be what we put into this to make it cinnamon. Forgot to get a spoon. I'm just gonna mix this together with the little spoon. It's kind of like a grainy crumble type thing going on. Okay, now that this is all mixed together, it kind of looks like that. Just get a little bit of the clumps out though. Okay, now that it looks like this, we're going to put a third of the batter into our pan. So I'm gonna use this to like scoop some out. It's a heavy bowl. And then just gotta like smooth it out with the spatula. Just so it's nice and even, I think just a little bit more. Make sure it's even. It's important for it to be even, that way it cooks evenly. So, very important that it's even. Okay, so now we're gonna take what would be about a third of our mixture, and we're just gonna sprinkle it on top. I'm making a very big mess, but that's okay because sometimes things get messy. When I was looking and I found this recipe, it was kind of like, am I only gonna need like one pan for this? But you know what, I think I'm worried that I may not be able to fill this one pan. Okay, now we're gonna go in with our second layer, which may only end up being 2 layers instead of 3. But you know, sometimes things don't work out all the way we expect to, because, you know, as they say, we have a plan and then God laughs at it. So, all in good fun. All in good fun. I will say when I put this together, I did expect it to not be so doughy, which I guess was a little not right on my part because it is technically bread. But I expected it to be a bit different. Okay. So now we're gonna use the rest of this. I'm gonna get a knife because I forgot a knife, and then I'm going to kind of help it swirl. So now we just kind of swirl it together. And then this is what it looks like now. So we're going to put it in the oven for 45 to 50 minutes. Okay, now it's time for our Bible lesson. So kind of like I said, this one's going to be into 4 parts. So there's going to be 4 different videos for this one. And this one is New Beginnings, a fresh start with God. So we all long for a fresh start at different points in life, when we failed, when we're tired, or when we're stuck. The good news is that God is a God of new beginnings. His mercy and power and promise give us hope to start again, no matter what the past holds. God brings newness into our lives, and I want to look at what that means for us today. So our first part is a new heart, which we'll be looking at Ezekiel 11:9, which says, I will give them integrity of heart and put a new spirit within them. I will remove their heart of stone from their bodies and give them a heart of flesh. So, God's promise here is deeply personal. It's not just a change of behavior and a transformation, but it's a transformation of the heart. When God gives us a new spirit, he softens what has become hardened by sin, hurt, and rebellion. A heart of stone cannot respond to God, but a heart of flesh can love, obey, and grow. So it makes you think of, are there any areas in your life that feel hard or unresponsive to God? I know personally, I have and sometimes do still deal with lots of depression and anxiety. And in those episodes, it is hard to feel close to God because you're going through something difficult. And like it was saying, when you're hurting, it hardens your heart. But by accepting God into your life, he allows you to almost become new through your heart. And so that means that your heart goes from hardened to softened, like I had said. And when your heart is softened by him, it allows you to see an entire new perspective of things. And it also helps heal you in ways that are sometimes hard to understand. It's important to ask God to give you a new heart that's tender, responsive, and ready for change. You cannot ask God to soften your heart, to take things away without changing your life. In that way, yes, this verse does talk about a physical change, because as your heart changes, what you put out into the world is also going to change. So you cannot expect, God to give you the peace and the tenderness that comes with a new heart if you are not willing to release that tenderness back into the world and change disruptive behaviors. Because when you don't change disruptive behaviors, that's just going to harden your heart all back over again. Okay, so that is our first part of the Bible study. And now we're going to finish up with the cinnamon roll bread, and then we're going to taste test it. Okay, now our bread is done. I think it looks really good, and it also smells really good. So we're just going to move it onto the rack, like so. And just gonna put this over here. Okay, so now it's time for us to make our glaze that we're going to put on top of the loaf. So we need our powdered sugar, and we have some softened cream cheese, a little bit of regular milk, not buttermilk. I think if you use buttermilk, it may not turn out as good. A little bit of vanilla extract, and a tiny pinch of salt that for some reason we put in a whole cup. I'm gonna start mixing it with the spoon. Just a little bit, maybe to help the mixer. Okay. Now we're gonna turn on the mixer. It's good. So here's our glaze. So now I'm gonna have to get another spoon, I think. And now I'm gonna put it on the loaf. It's my cat. I'm gonna let it drip down the sides a little bit. If it wants to, it may not. It may be too thick to do that. Okay. We have a little bit of glaze left, but that's okay. All right. So this is our final product. And now I'm gonna get a knife so that we can taste test it. Okay, I went and I grabbed the plate and the knife. And we're gonna cut it through. And I'm gonna cut my slice. This is not my slice, this one is. A little crumbly. It's also falling apart. It is fresh out of the oven, so that's probably why it's kind of falling apart. Or maybe I'm just really bad at cutting. It could be both. I'm really struggling over here. Well, God does not call everything to be perfect. Thank goodness, because that cutting job was definitely not. It's a little unfortunate because now it doesn't look as pretty. But that's okay. And now we're just gonna put that back together and no one will even notice. Okay. It tastes like a cinnamon roll, but like the Cinnabon cinnamon rolls. It's very good. It's really sweet, but I definitely recommend it. It ended up only taking 45 minutes to cook. And it wasn't a very time-consuming process. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. And now I'm going to pray. Lord, I want to thank you for this day and the ability that you've given me to create this. Whether or not it's 2 or 5 or 20 people watching, I hope that this reaches the people that you know need to be reached, and I hope that this video can be a fun way to plant a seed in their lives. I just want to thank you for the way you love us and everything that you do for us, for the fact that you give us those new beginnings and that you are merciful enough to lead us away from the agony of a hardened heart. And with that being said, I hope these people have an amazing day. Amen. Thank you so much for watching.